who is still going to injury manage their players? How many non-COVID illnesses are we going to see from top players and playoff possible teams? How many of those are we going to see? Back-to-back games. Who's going to sit their guy on the back end of one or the front end of another to injury manage the poor people of Cleveland, Ohio, who missed out on Luka, Steph, and Kawhi this year?
Just like right in a row.
Cleveland's like, how many, these kids, like, how about, let's get a 3-game package of tickets there.
Right, was that included in, you can get 10
Hey,
game package?
come
games,
see Kawhi, Steph, and Luka.
Oh, I want this one
wait a
for
minute.
sure. This looks
Western
like 1 week.
Conference.
They're all on the back ends of back-to-backs. So, sorry, Cleveland fans.
Cleveland, this is not
Although
for
I would
you.
say they probably didn't offer those 3 teams in one.
I don't
They
know.
tried to spread the good teams out in
I don't
packages,
know.
Yeah,
right?
but if you're a fan of a team, you can
Yeah,
be
there
like,
you go.
I
Yeah,
want
let's
this in
go
my
see them.
package.
Let's go see them. Except, you know what? They're being injury managed. At least Steph was being injury managed for something that he had just come back from. The injury managed ones that drive me nuts are the ones like this guy is coming back from an ACL injury a year ago. Suffered a year and a half ago.
How long do you think someone takes to rehab?
I don't have a date. I don't have that date.
Obviously.
I don't have that date certain. But no, he's coming back from a knee injury and he's been playing dynamite. And you know what? I bet you these teams come up with the dates like back in October. Come hell or high water, you ain't playing on these days.
You might be on to something.
Look at the
there.
schedule.
They sit
plan it
down.
out.
The trainers sit down with the people who are in charge of monitoring sleep and caloric intake, and the coaching staff. They all sit down front office. They have like a little Zoom where they have a meeting, and they see, you're not playing in Cleveland. Luka, I think, tweaked something the night before. And I just know this because I was in Cleveland for the Ravens and the Browns game, and I just saw all of these, Cavs fans. They're so, just you're going to the game tonight. Oh yeah, no, Luka, great. God bless Anthony Edwards. Maybe it's because he's 21 and he's just,
Doesn't know any better.
doesn't know any better, or
got all his energy.
Well, kids rebound quick from a tweak here or whatever. There, this is what Anthony Edwards had to say over All-Star Weekend about this.
If there's anything I could change about the league to make it better, probably just all the guys sitting resting. That's the only thing I probably don't like. 80%, you got to play. I don't like all the sitting, missing games and stuff. Like these people might have enough money to come to one game, you know what I'm saying? And that might be the game they come to, and then you sitting out, you know what I'm saying? So I take pride in trying to play every game because I don't know, it might be one fan that has never seen me play, and I'm trying to play. So that's the only thing I don't like, guys just sitting out.
That's our guy.
That's our guy. So let's check on this Timberwolves schedule. Rest of the way. Okay, they're coming to Los Angeles next week. You know he's going to play there. Sacramento, Saturday, March 4th. Why am I bringing that up? Back end of a back-to-back. Sacramento fans who love Anthony Edwards, guess who's going to play? Get your tickets.
Be out there.
How about this one? At Toronto, back end of a back-to-back. They're at Chicago, and then they're at Toronto. Guess what? Toronto Raptor fans, feeling you. You're going to see Anthony Edwards. Obviously, the guy gets seriously hurt. That's it. They got a back-to-back where one of the back-to-backs is at home. So the front end at San Antonio, because they're not sitting him in front of the home fans. At San Antonio, Saturday, April 8th, guess what? You know what I might do next year's fantasy? I might find, let's get a list of guys who feel this way about Anthony Edwards. I'll draft them all.
Well, I guarantee
They're on
you,
my
you're
team.
not going to have the top pick, so you're not going to have.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we'll discuss that for another day. You see what I'm saying? Again, tomorrow night for Cooper's 12th birthday, Susan and I are taking some of his buddies from his basketball team, which is playing its final playoff game today.
Shots up, Coop.
And so, he is. He's listening to his mom. He's lowering his shoulder.
Get him up.
He's getting into the lane now. But be that as it may, I got the tickets, right? And then I swear to you, a day later, I'm like, oh no. Are the Clippers starting the second half of the season with back-to-backs? Because I knew if they did, then I just bought tickets to a game where Kawhi and Paul George would not play because they have not been playing consistently on the back portions of back-to-backs all season long. I literally had that stomach drop moment. And then I thankfully looked at the schedule and saw that Friday night's game is the first game after a 9-game layoff respite as the entire league got injury managed. And or an 8-day for them because they played a week ago tonight in the last game of the first half. I just said, hey, it's a problem. It's a problem. And, it's a tough fix because so many teams are like, sorry, paying customer, but back in October, we sat down as a team and came up with a plan, and Anthony Edwards is one of those rare players like, I don't care about your plan. I'm playing every game. So
here's one way to look at this.
that.
Rich, a few years ago, you were, this is before I was on the show. I think I was still at LABC. I was doing.
You were being injury managed by DirecTV.
Well, no, I was at work. I was producing the app for the show at the time, but you had brought up the fact that you didn't like players sitting out. And I took it from a point of view as a Clipper fan. There was one game in particular, LeBron sat out, that you spoke on.
Yes.
As a Clipper fan, I was glad LeBron missed that game because the Clippers won that game, and that actually got us home court in the playoffs that year against the Jazz. Now the Clippers lost in the playoffs, but for me as a fan, I was like, well, I'm glad he's not playing because we need to win this game, and it would be a lot harder if he had not sat out. So I'm sure there had to be some fans like thinking like me, like, yo, we got a better chance to win this game that's pretty necessary when this superstar. I understand what you're saying.
Was it last year or 2 years ago where the Clippers basically sat out players in the last couple games of the season and willingly took a series on the road? Was that 2 years ago? Or
that was 2 years
and part of that was to avoid somebody that was the two. They didn't want to play somebody as like they looked down the road, like we'll win one series on the road to avoid playing this red hot team, right? Didn't they like look at the standings and where teams were landing? I'm trying to remember.
I don't think it was just the Clippers either. I think it was like a couple teams.
Man. There's people who are like so psyched. Anybody that injury manages a player in their one shot in that town is undoubtedly depressing young fans. And when I say depressing, I mean two ways. One, you're depressing their love for the sport, and two, you're like legitimately emotionally depressing that child. Now,
I would hope not.
It is that. I mean, how many kids were playing like we're psyched to see Steph Curry? And Steph is not, he gets it. He understands that. But he was legitimately coming back, I guess, from an injury he had just suffered. But somebody's like, hey, I sat out last year, and we're now in month 4 of the season. I'm not playing back-to-back. And the one fix of it is don't schedule people back-to-back. That's it. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.